Odin and Bran Stark. I focus specifically on Bran Stark as a character from the HBO series Game of Thrones, which is an adaptation of George R.R. Martin's fantasy series A Song of Fire and Ice. Unlike Merlin and Gandalf, Bran is a young man, but I include him as a representation of Odin because of the amount of symbolic links between the two figures. In the first season of Game of Thrones, Bran is crippled after being pushed out of a tower window. While bed and chair bound, he discovers he can enter the mind of his direwolf Summer. This ability is called warging, and in essence is a form of shape-shifting. In the world of Game of Thrones, there is also a sacred tree, the Godweir, a tree with red leaves and a face carved into it. In Season 2, Bran begins to dream of a three-eyed raven, and strengthens his warging ability. In Seasons 3 and 4, Bran's visions of the three-eyed raven intensify, and he is driven to seek out the raven, who ends up being a man who is integrated into the root system of the most sacred tree from Westeros, the Godweir. Season 6 is Bran learning to time travel with his visions and preparing to take over the role of the three-eyed raven. These training scene sessions are harsh and echo Odin's sacrifice from the Yggdrasil. As the series progresses, Bran loses friends and family members, and, in the final season, he has shed his connections to the physical world, in exchange for the wisdom that is gained by looking at the past. Because he is wise, he becomes the king of the 6 kingdoms in Westeros, echoing Odin's position as the king of Asgard. George R.R. Martin is a fan of Tolkien and began reading his books at 12 years old. At the Edinburgh Book Festival in 2014, he said, "I revere The Lord of the Rings. I reread it every few years, and it has an enormous effect on me as a kid. In some sense, when I started the saga, I was replying to Tolkien." Martin's reply to Tolkien is a fantasy world with more action, more violence, and more politics. While the world Martin creates is believable and realistic, he uses different techniques from Tolkien's in-depth linguistic and historical approach. Martin has given countless interviews about writing his books, and not once does he say he was inspired by Odin or Nordic mythology. The repeated symbolism found in his books is due to Tolkien's inspiration, a third-time distillation of Nordic mythology. The recognition of Bran as an Odinic character, though not directly inspired, is a further example of Jung's universal collective unconsciousness at work.